You a pizza student? Did you change these slides? Yeah, yeah. Did you turn off the music? No.
We got 9 online.
Videos back there. Welcome, it's getting back. I have just trained in a row. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had to make those guys do this. Thanks for being here, guys. We are getting close. We are down less than a month because most of you will be knocking. And we're super excited about it. I just secured the last team's housing today. So it's really exciting. It's always a little nerve wracking when there's a few left, but we got them. A few more announcements. Tomorrow we have an activities set up just down here at Provo Beach Resort on our home field here, 7 o'clock. So we're renting it out. We got the flow rider. It'll be awesome. Bring your swimsuits. Tanner, any other announcements about that?
It's super fun. Bring your guys. Just have a fun time.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to show people what we're about.
Do we have both hours or just the first hour?
So we have both hours, so like make it easy and accessible for everyone. I make sure you just show up for one. Otherwise, you'll have like 60 people trying to go at once and it sucks. So yeah, for the flow rider. So just try to find like a group and just go like for 1 hour. You can.
But we have the whole place.
So we
just the
have
flow rider.
Yeah, so what'll happen is you'll show up at the front desk, you'll pick up a card, and then you get access, you'll have a wristband too. You'll get access to that whenever you want, the flow rider at least. And then the card gets you access to like the mini golf, laser tag, like all the other like activities, and it's got some funds on it for the arcade. I don't know exactly how much is on the card for the arcade, but yeah.
Okay.
Have a good time.
Awesome, great. Yeah, thanks Tanner for setting that up. Oh yeah, speaking of Tanner setting stuff up, we're doing a point bracket challenge. So yeah, I sent it out on Slack today. You have to get it done tonight. So, but we're doing some pretty nice cash prizes. Starts tomorrow. Well, playing game, right? Playing games tomorrow? Or is that today? That was Tuesday. Oh,
Yeah.
Did it auto win or both? They're gonna stay. Who won?
so anyway, get your bracket in tonight. We're giving $150 to the winner, $100 to second place, and $50 to third place.
Password is Gabe.
That's where Gabe, capital D.
Classic.
Next thing we have in this building is March 29th. It's gonna be our final personal development training, and we're going to do something a little bit different. And we're gonna do a panel. Gabe's gonna be here. I think we're gonna have Austin and Parker. Is that the plan?
I think some more. We haven't invited anyone yet, but we're gonna have some of
And a surprise guest too.
some
There's gonna be a panel.
And it's gonna be a panel of people that have done a lot of summer sales. And it's gonna give you guys an opportunity to ask questions, anything you want. Like, what's the best schedule? Like, what do you do on Sundays? What's your weekend schedule like? Like, whatever you want to ask.
That's cool.
How do you manage your money during the summer? Stuff like that. Like anything that you want to know about just the lifestyle of the summer. This is just gonna be kind of a Q&A thing. So I think that'll be a good use of that time, and it's good Gabe time. Gabe's gonna be here for that. Right before we go out. Next sales training like this is on the 5th. That will probably be featuring some of you. We're probably gonna have to ask some of our managers to help with that training because I believe these guys are gonna be out on the doors. Is that right?
on the 5th. No, not on the 5th.
You'll be back?
The one after that will be.
Oh, yeah, okay, so on the 12th, we definitely are gonna have
We
that.
probably will have like 50 to 60 reps on the doors April 10th this year, but not before that.
Except for you and Felix next week.
Except for Felix is starting next week.
Yeah.
What?
You'll be out there. Anyway. Housing forum, you guys have probably already started getting Slack messages from Kendra or me, or possibly your CSR about things that we need from you. And we are kind of in crunch time now. So if you get a message, please be checking Slack first of all. If you're not checking Slack, that is a big problem. So please make sure you know you have Slack on your phone. You're logged in properly and you're looking at it often, and set the notifications to be pushed so you get messages alerting you when you get messages, because it can make or break whether or not we get housing for you if you just don't respond to a housing application. So just please be aware of that. We also need a picture of everyone's driver's license. So if you haven't sent that in yet, do it. Badge photos. I'm planning on printing badges next week, so I need that photo from everybody. So we're trying to post these messages on the team messages on Slack as like, hey, here's everybody on this team that we need this from. You see that as a manager, if you're a leader, or if you know the rep that's on that list, make sure that they're doing it, because that's why we put it on there, because sometimes these guys aren't on Slack yet and they don't see that, but just help your team get their stuff in, because it's going to make it better for all of you. And if you haven't finished your enrollment for Gusto, there's about 20 reps that haven't. You will get paid, so I'd recommend doing that. Last note is field routes. So it's test routes, but the new app is called Field Routes. That's the name of the company that runs test routes. But it's a new logo, new kind of design. I think they've updated their software. It should be a better experience on the app, which is good news for those returning reps. But that's the app you want. It's called Field Routes. Just go get it. Put it on
It's a
your phone.
different app, but there won't be much of a learning curve. I ran through it. This week, pretty good. So
Looks a little different, but it's essentially the same experience.
Yeah.
You're logging. We're starting to get reps added already. I can't guarantee that you're added yet, but everyone's username will be their first initial dot last name. So, and the password for everyone is capital P point 2023. And then you can go in and change your password if you'd like to have that be different. Once you change your password, I can't get it to you. So if you forget what you changed it to, don't ask me what it is, because I don't know, but I can change it to something. So I'll just change it back to point 2023. If you ever need it, that's what it'll be.
Real quick, Darren, with company, do you just put point marketing?
Company is the pest control company.
Yeah.
And that is a little different for everybody. So it's Frontline, I think it's just Frontline. Palisade is Palisade Pest. Anchor, I think is just Anchor. I can't really remember.
Will you say that login information again?
First initial dot last name. Password is point 2023 with a capital P. And then the company name. I don't know everyone on from memory. So if you don't know that,
this will be on Slack.
yeah, I'll put it all out there. Anyway. Just some important things to remember, and yeah, most important is just if you're on Slack getting messages, and I'll just tell you what we need from you, and we're good. So let's get into the training. Who's up?
Cool.
All right.
Thank you, Terrence.
You're welcome. Thanks,
Darren.
So,
Good thing-
I'm sorry,
Oh, yeah.
it's field routes that we're
Yeah.
downloading, not test routes.
Yeah, it's a blue app with a little leaf.
Okay,
You just go through credentials. Equal shield, hydronics. Differently. Good thing Darren's here tonight. Technology is better when Darren's here, so. I'm gonna do the training review. We're just gonna review rate card tonight. So, oops, go backwards. So rate card, this is after your inspection. This is when you're getting next to the customer and explaining to them how much they're paying. And explaining to them how often we come and those types of details. And this is where the close happens. There's multiple closes that happen throughout a sale, but this is like the big one, because if they say yes to this one, then it means you're sitting down and signing the contract, right? So with that in mind, you have to be sharp here, and you have to be confident, and just like in football, like you can get the ball to the very to the 5 yard line, but if you can't punch it in, then nothing, everything you just did up until this point doesn't really matter, which is sad but true, so. I am gonna talk through just the process, and then I wanted to show this as a visual for what this is gonna look like. It's going to vary a little bit market to market. But in general, you're gonna have like some bugs that you can reference here if you need to at the end. You're gonna use that the rate card portion the most though. So that's the main thing you're gonna be like pointing the customer's eyes to when you're doing this part of the sale. You want to use this as a tool. That's the big idea, is if you can put this in front of them and kind of point their eyes to the pricing, it will help this whole thing feel really legitimate to the customer, and it'll help it make more sense to them. So they'll have your words and they'll also have a visual tool to use, and that will help them know what they're paying and what they're getting themselves into and stuff. So that's the rate card. I want to teach this process or just review this process really quickly. So there's a couple steps. Step number 1 is you're going to conceptually just explain to the customer that we do this 4 times a year. And I'm going to, like, when I do this, I literally do like everything that I can do to provide clarity to the customer, I'm going to do, because I want it to be really clear to them what they're doing, because then my contracts will probably stick and I'll probably get paid, right? So I'm going to say, okay, customer, the way this works is we come 4 times a year and we break up your payments into little monthly payments throughout the year, period. That's it. So I'm going to explain that conceptually to the customer, and then I'm going to close the distance and I'm going to do the rest of this. So first thing you're going to do again is when it comes to this part of the sale, usually you're wrapping up your inspection. So you're saying something like I said, my trucks are here. If you work with me on the timing, then I can do this for a big discount. So let me show you what the price looks like. And then right before you kind of close the distance, you're going to go. So the way this works is we do this just 4 times a year, and we break your payments up into monthly payments. Then you're going to close the distance, and you're going to get next to the customer, and you're going to say, for home your size, it's just $60 a month. So you're going to reference their square footage. It's just $60 a month. And then you're going to end with the big price drop, which is where you show them that big discount that you've been like advertising throughout your pitch so far. You're going to say, normally I would need to charge $300 for the initial, but since we're here, I can discount that to just $150. If you have any pest issues in between services, we are on call to come out anytime. Then you're going to step back and you're going to do a soft close. What's a soft close? I think we've asked this in a training before, but what's the difference between a soft close and a hard close, just so rookies can understand that conceptually? Kayla?
I would say a hard close is like you move forward to the next step of the cell, where a hard close is gauging the temperature to see if you can go to the next.
I mean, a soft close, yeah. Yeah, soft close is like,
Sorry, yeah, soft close is.
Sure, yeah.
Temperature.
so the way I like to think of it here is like, if they say yes to a hard close, to this hard close, like they know that they're doing this for sure. There's no like room for error there. A soft close is like a temperature check. So I'm like, this question is telling me, it's not directly them telling me that they're in, but if they respond positively to this, then I think that they're in. And then I'm going to go and do like the solidify close, which is the hard close. So you're going to do this basically word for word. With this, a large part of this process is the body language. So I just want to show that one time. And then we're going to show one objection that you might get during this. And then I'm going to turn it over to Austin tonight for switchover training. So let's see, Gabe, will you be my customer for this? Okay, so Gabe's my customer. We're on the inspection, and we've just finished it up basically. And then now I'm going to do what I'm going to show him the price. So let's say we're just wrapping it up. So like I said, Gabe, if you'll work with me on the timing, I can do this for a big discount for you just because our trucks are here. The way this works is we just come 4 times a year and we break it up into little monthly payments for you. So that's what we do for all of our other customers. So let me show you how this works, if that's all right. So for a home your size, you said your home is 2,500 square feet.
Yeah.
So for a home your size, this is going to be $69 for your monthly. The first visit usually is a little bit more. So usually it's $369. But again, if you'll let us fit you in while we're here, I would do that one for just $150. So it's $69 for that monthly and then just $150 for the first one. And like I said, if you see any bugs in between the visits, if you call us, we'll come back to you at no extra cost. All right, so will you guys be here the next day or two? Yeah, tomorrow. Okay, cool. I just need to grab some information. I can reserve a slot. Is this an okay place? Okay, cool. Good. So simple, don't talk too much, just like the whole goal here is to stay simple, but to give them enough information to where it's very clear what they're getting themselves into, right? I guess if you're the customer, if you were given that scenario, would you feel like you understand what you're paying and kind of what they're getting themselves into? So we want to sell really honestly. You don't need to hide anything, just embrace it. Like, this is your monthly cost. At this point, you should have built enough value and need in the service that like, this is just, they're down for it, right? And if they're not, then they'll tell you, and then you overcome the objection. So the next step we're gonna do, I'm gonna have Tanner just show one common objection that you might get during this portion. So sometimes a customer might be like, nervous, right? They might be nervous about the contract or that I have to come multiple times. So I'm gonna have Tanner demo this objection. Let's just learn those. Those are really good. Anyway, one of the objections from that list that you can get here at the end. The 4 services. So when you're closing, I was kind of closing for that time slot, right? To try to get them to sit down. This is a common one that you might get here. We call it the 4 services objection. Some people are like, oh, that sounds cool, but can you do it one time? I don't really want to get myself into like a recurring thing. So Tanner's going to show what you might say to the customer if you get that objection. So we're going to see how well he does. Okay, cool. So let's say he just pitched me the rate card. So maybe just do the close.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so are you guys gonna be home later this evening or tomorrow morning?
We should be, but I honestly like the 4 service thing is a little bit, I'd rather just do like one. I don't know that I want to do multiple like that.
Yeah, no worries. I guess, have you guys ever had pest control before?
I don't think we've done this with like a company like this before.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, standard wide, it's pretty normal for us to come out 4 times a year, just because the product that we're applying on the home here only lasts for about 3 months. So in order to be able to guarantee our work and take care of some of those bugs that we were noticing earlier, we do just need to come out on that standard 4 times. And then if anything does pop up in between, just give us a ring and we'll come out at no extra cost.
Okay.
But I guess you were saying the mornings work better, or
Yeah,
usually
we should be here.
Okay, cool. Well, I just need to get some quick info and then we can get that set up for you.
Okay, that's fine. Let's do it. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
That's great. Sometimes the customer at the end just wants to see you flinch a little bit and like they just want to see you work a little bit. Yeah, that happens sometimes. So cool. So let's just recap that real quick and then we'll turn it over to Austin. So what did he do well in there? What did you notice? So I gave him the 4 service agreement or like the kind of contract type objection. What did he do well? What did you guys notice?
I'll say something real quick.
Yeah.
We practiced with a group of guys down in Cedar. And I gave this objection to, he was a first year, but he didn't know I was gonna do it when he was up role playing in front of the group. So you can imagine if you're getting up here, didn't know you're gonna get objection, like he kind of got frazzled. But it was like deer in the headlights, like, oh crap, that will happen to all of us in the summer, but you can tell Tanner, he prepared and was ready. And that's the goal, where it wasn't deer in the headlights. It was like, totally fine. I get what you're saying. This is actually the logic that's gonna like take him to the next step, right? So that was, I think, the biggest thing that was amazing is he just was prepared and confident.
Yeah. Kayla and then Mason.
I like the empathize on this, where it, like someone questions, I actually need 4 services. And it says, well, have you ever had pest control before? Like,
Yeah.
you got to clarify if they haven't. Like, well, let me tell you like why this works, because I'm a pest control expert.
Yeah.
And you are not, or you would
Right.
be in the pest control.
Right.
So, that's just like checking for understanding there.
Yeah,
Asking that good question that allows you to be in the driver's seat for the response, so that when you close, they are now understanding.
yeah. I love that. If you probably heard that on Zoom, but if you didn't, her thought was that question is really strategic because it's putting you in a position of like, I'm the educator here on the pest control industry and how it works. And so you're honestly accomplishing a ton just by asking that question. We got this question in Cedar last night. Was that last night? It feels like it's been a long day.
We drove back last night after we trained.
So we got the question last night, I think, or maybe it was the last training, I don't remember. I've been asked this in the last week or so. Haven't I already asked this at this point? Haven't I already asked, the question, have you had pest control before? And the answer is a little bit of repetition here is okay. You can word it differently though. So you might be like, hey, you mentioned you have had a service, or you mentioned you haven't had a service before. And then let the customer engage and then go right into like, okay, let me remind you, or let me educate you on how this works, you know? So anyway, I like that thought. Mason?
You actually went into right. What I was gonna mention is more of a question form of like, how do you say that without saying like, I didn't listen to you before,
Yeah,
but also like making you sound like an idiot, you know? Like,
sure,
well, you've never had pest control before. It's like
right.
that the way you formatted that actually answered my
And I do believe the meta verbals on this are really important because if you ask it in a way that's like demeaning them, like which you said you haven't had, or you can ask it in a way where it's like, you're dumb, you know?
Yeah.
But you don't want to do that, but this question can be really strategic and it can put you in like the driver's seat of the conversation, so.
Yeah.
And then the logic that Tanner used was basically that pest control only, the product only lasts like 2 to 3 months, so that's why we do it throughout the year, and if you want a guaranteed service, this is the only path, like for us to guarantee it, we have to be able to put you on a schedule like that, so that was great logic, and then he closed, so. That was awesome. Keep practicing objections as you're practicing the rest of this stuff, because if you want to sell multiple accounts every day, you're not going to get multiple people every day that don't have concerns, you know. You might get one a day that's just like, sign me up, I've been looking for this. But to get multiple sales every day consistently, you got to be overcoming some of these types of concerns. So yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Austin and he's gonna teach switchovers tonight. So let's give Austin a hand.
Awesome. So we have briefed a little bit on switchovers throughout the trainings a little bit, like we kind of gave you some intros to it. But switching people over from another company is, all of you will do it multiple times this summer. And it's the, if you want to hit your goals this summer, get really, really comfortable and good at switching people over, because every day there's so many people out there that have services, and you're going to be able to add them to your sales each day. So like the guys who do this at the highest level, or girls doing it at the highest level, if they average 5 or 6 a day, there's probably 1 to 3, or some days all 6 for switchovers, but every day it's just going out and doing it. So I wanted to preface with that. And there's a mindset to it. So if somebody already is paying for it, already budgeting it, they are very, very qualified and sellable. So these people, there's a difference between someone that like believes in pest control already and is like budgeted it and paid for it, compared to someone who has never used pest control or is anti-pest control, or treats themselves at the time. Like that's a whole different objection, whatever. But there'll be some neighborhoods you go into and half the people have a company, or sometimes more. And then there's some neighborhoods where it's less. But if you have that mindset every single day, that when you meet somebody that has a company, that, oh yeah, I'm looking for that and wanting that's how you'll have more switchovers as well. People switch all the time. It's super easy. It's not like Parker had a good point yesterday. There's no like equipment necessary to switch. Like they just have to call their company and it takes 2 minutes, or even send an email. And so it's not like a, alarm system or what other things you have to switch out.
off the roof.
Yeah, ripping solar panels off the roof. I'm trying to think of something else that would be a really bad pain to switch, but, pest control-
TV, I mean, everything, a lot of these services have like equipment tied to it. Pest control, it's just a different guy shows up. It's a human service, you know?
For sure. So, the biggest point we want to drive with this slide is it's obviously bold here. So, Gabe, stand up, breathe out loud with all your heart.
Okay. Conviction, you must be sold on point in our company and believe in yourself.
Cool, thank you. So there's a book called Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Download that book. It's very, very good. There's a chapter that talks about this principle. And we're from switching some people over here or there to like actually switching people every single day, multiple a day. Was actually a summer when Parker came out and I listened to that book and I became way more sold on myself, what I was doing, the company I was representing, and then point as a whole. And when you have that energy, people feel that. So, does anybody have an experience where you also have had that, where you become more sold on the product, the company, yourself, and how it helped you get more switchovers, a veteran?
Yeah, like 100%, like, I don't know, especially if you're a rookie, you're going out not really understanding what the service actually looks like. Like we talk about it in theory, but you don't know what it looks like on the home or like the results it creates. But over the summer, you'll see, customers get service. And you'll see like, wow, that's a huge difference. Like they don't have cobwebs, they don't have wasp nests, like the customer is super happy. And that just builds up your confidence and point. That's gonna make it way easier for you to go say, hey, like, yeah, you really should sign up for this. Like, this is worth like the price I'm offering. And I saw reps that didn't have that conviction and they started selling less because of it. And so like, it's gonna affect your sales as well as like your ability to stay energized throughout the day, like while you're working in the heat.
Yep. I love that. Anyone else? Mason?
I was really lucky last year to sell in Eastern Washington for Point Pest, and they've been in business for like, what was it, 16 years or something like that, something crazy. But they had like, I'd go to like some cities and I'd be like, yeah, let's just look at the reviews, and I would be blown away. Like the first store, I'm like, yeah, let's look at the reviews. I'm like, got 500 5-star reviews, and it's like, this office has been open for 3 years. It's just like, it had obviously some extra ammo because it's been open a lot longer, but read the customer reviews on Google. Like those, like you need to read those. If you're ever like struggling to like believe in a company, I remember one day I just like read through like probably 100 reviews from Point Pass. I'm like, this is crazy, like how many people love it, and I'm just like fired up, and you go out there and sell it.
So last night we were driving back with Cedar and Parker was reading Palisade Pest reviews and
Cool.
like, dude, wow,
This lady was passionate.
this lady was passionate.
Yeah, it's a straight novel, like, dude, they don't even service Utah, I'm in, like, sign me up.
Yeah.
dude.
So yeah, that would be my last tip. If getting sold on yourself more is we'll rewind. Getting sold on the company, get with your manager, call Parker or I, call someone else who's sold there before. I mean, if you really want to, you could call the branch and say hi and that you're coming. Don't recommend that, but if you need that, you're welcome to. But Anchor Pest, amazing. Kentucky Pest, amazing. Frontline, been around forever, amazing. Palisade, the best company in the South. So,
Let's go.
you guys, did I miss a company? I don't know if I did, but you guys are gonna be able to really believe in the company and look people in the eye and say like, sure, you're paying for Orkin, but if you want to use a family-owned regional local pest company and get the best service in the area, you come with me. Like you will find that. And then that's the next thing, like believing in yourself is being able to say comments like that, like own it, like give me a shot, or like if you want the best company in the area, like I don't know everything about everything, but I know Anchor Pest is the best in New Hampshire. Like saying comments like that will help you get more switchovers. So any last thoughts with this, Parker?
Oh, I love that.
Okay. Awesome. Any comments on the mindset? Okay, let's keep
Go take
going.
over.
My baby.
And this is Jacob Borg holding some bugs in a jar. He's one of the owners of Point Marketing, and he believes in pest control. And it will bless people's lives. Like that's a cool thing too. Last thing I'll say is people using our service compared to others, like they will feel and see the difference. Like
with the company we represent. So situational selling, we already talked about this, so this is a review a little bit, but don't be a robot. If you're in a neighborhood and talk to 20 people in a row and you've been doing the half off pitch over and over and over, and you're getting the same responses, like stop it, switch it up. And be flexible in your approach based on the customer's needs and pain points. So if you're talking to a bunch of people that have a company, you're gonna want to change your insight response instead of perfect, my truck's in the area, you're working, if we can fit you in, it's about half off. To perfect, my trucks are here in the area working, who do you have coming out to treat your home for pest control or for the bugs or whatever? And I personally switch between half off and this like every couple doors, just so I'm not saying the same thing at every single door. Because another great book, Door to Door Millionaire, the cardinal sin of selling is being a robot, door to door, saying the same thing, because that's what everybody else does. So we try to teach you guys that, and this is one way you can do that, not being a robot. So this is the switchover initial that I say about 50% of the time in the summer, but you'll say this quite often, especially in neighborhoods where you're meeting people with companies. So, Tanner, you want to be my customer? Yep. So what this sounds like, we're gonna break out and practice. What time is this? Like 8:48. Okay. We're gonna get some time to practice switchovers tonight. We only have a little bit left after this, but, cool, so.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, we just finished work over at Glenn's behind you. Has anyone been by to let you know what's going on?
No, what's going on?
Perfect. My trucks are here working. Who do you have coming out for your pest control?
We actually have Anchor.
Perfect. Okay. That's what I'm working with. That'll happen sometime.
Yeah. Everything's going.
Like, man, it's hot out here. I didn't check the app. Good to meet you. Keep it up. Keep it. Stay on the books, baby. And in those moments, you'll be like, what do you like about the service? I like to do that. Like, why'd you, what bugs did you get rid of? Or,
Like, I am split.
Nothing will hurt your momentum more than I'm just still working with Bob just behind you. I am Bob. What's good, man?
Yeah.
Bob?
who am I?
Bob?
I'm talking about you all day.
Yeah, I'm name dropping you all day.
Okay, so when they say they have Anchor coming out, and Anchor's an enemy pest company, right? Not a friend. You want to empathize. So it's basically just like overcoming a normal objection. So, with a little bit of chill bill like this, because sometimes of all objections, people can be the most, besides like, get out of here, like, you know, whatever, like what you'll get. Some people can be pretty riled up about that they have a company. So, you want to disarm them with your body language. And the way that I do that is I put my clipboard a lot of times under my arm, and I don't know where the clipboard is, but I'll hold this. I call it the chill bill, but no, totally, it's a good idea to have someone coming out like that. Like you just disarm, like, hey, it's all good. Like, I'm glad you have somebody that's smart. However, you don't want to say, oh, you have Fox, that's a really good company. Like that'll be right in the foot, or whatever company, right?
Oh, I did love those guys.
Yeah. So you don't want to go too far, but you do want to say, totally, it's a great idea to have someone coming out that's smart. And then go right into a question. Who treats your home if you haven't asked that, or how long have they been coming out? So asking these two qualifying questions, one, who treats your home? Now is the time to get with your managers, and managers, if you need to get with Parker and I, and start doing like talking about competition in the area. You'll do that all summer long, but if you can do a little bit of that before you leave, that will help. So when you hear who they have coming out and they say Aptive, if you're in a market, you're just like, or whenever I hear Orkin, I'm just like dollar signs, like I switch over about 8 out of 10 Orkins, like, you know, so. But then you have a bunch of ammo going through your mind that you're ready to use because of that certain company. Or if there's companies you never heard of, then you can help the team learn about it, but
And then how long have you been coming out? You're asking that, so they, so you have an idea if they're out of contract. Most pest companies, it's a 1-year contract, some is 2. Some companies don't have a contract. So that gives you an idea where they're at with that, and also knowing how long someone's been coming out gives you an idea of how much they love their company or not, generally, like. There are some companies out there that have been around since like the 60s or something, and they're like, yeah, I've had, what's that one in Oregon, Salem, Oregon, Lupus,
Oh, yeah.
Looper, I can't remember. Lupids, anyways, it's like. You remember did you saw in Corvallis?
I did, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's freaking in Corvallis.
Not Good Earth. but-
Good Earth.
Good Earth,
yeah.
It's Salem.
Good Earth is a movement, like,
Suck.
if you have Good Earth selling your service in your home, like.
They send out letters like, don't talk to the pet boys. Like, they will-
One guy you're coming this summer, did not open your door.
I got that. Sorry.
There you go.
No, I already have that one. I have good. No, I think, no, I'm talking about God.
I could get it right.
The only companies that have been around. Like, no, it's the tech comes over to dinner every Sunday and was at my daughter's wedding and like. So you're also finding things out like that, where it's like those people probably aren't qualified and that's fine, so. Now the field response. So. As I'm going through this, I want to hit this several times, because there's a flow to switchovers. I've noticed with first years that. You can get hung up on these questions and it derails and you don't get to like the most important parts. So when you ask these questions, whatever they say, you're getting to hear. Which is normalizing or empathy or giving them the logic of why people are switching over. So. Just, so you know, a ton of people are jumping on with us because we're local and doing a lot more for a lot better value. There are some companies you'll know that charge a lot more than us, so you can say better value and price, but most of the time. I leave with, we do a lot more for a better value, so. Any questions at this point? Cool, so the close here,
Right, absolutely. So something that does concern me, like just like as a missionary, you don't want to openly bash another group because it looks bad. So let's say that they ask you candidly, they're like, okay, so I do have Aptive. What are they doing that what are they not doing that you're going to be doing? Obviously, like you could tell them and be candid, but to what extent would you kind of want to name drop their company or like talk about them? How quickly could you switch back to talking about you? If that makes sense.
That's a good question. I think most of the time with a company like Aptive, Terminex, Orkin, big like Utah companies, and then the big corporate companies is we're local. Your team's going where?
DC.
Yeah, so Frontline's a regional, look like they're in Virginia, and they have one office in Tennessee. Up there too.
So our whole bread and butter at Point Marketing is we sell for region focused pest control.
Local
companies.
company.
Local, so like Frontline, for example, they sell in Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, period. So like, they're not nationwide. And so you knock on Aptive's door there and the pitch is, we're local, it's a more tailored service, there's a better value and. Usually there's a lot, I mean, there's truth to that, like most people prefer something that's more tailored, more local. Not like McDonald's and pest control kind of like big. And so that's our angle a lot of times on these tailored responses.
Frontline is a Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, like that area company. So.
I
What are
have a
your
thought
thoughts
on
on
that, just because sometimes people will openly be like. I like hate the service, and you don't want to, and you don't necessarily want to like bash on other companies, especially if they hate the service. That's where you can just go, like, we had. A really big competitor, we ended up being good friends with their reps at church. And so like, we didn't want to bash them because I love the reps, they were awesome. So it was like a delicate balance of being like, I totally get that, we've had people that have noticed that we've been doing a lot more for better value, and they've been really happy with what we've been doing. So it's like a very gentle way of saying, we've had a lot of people getting on with us because of that, but you're not bashing the company. You just bandwagon at that point. Like, we've had people in your same situations that haven't been super pleased, but have given us a try and have loved it.
Yeah, so this line right here is really strategic with how we did it, local and a lot more for a lot better value. So you can just be like, we're gonna do a lot more for your dollar, like, this is how, and we explain it, and you're like, yeah, that's actually more.
like a lot of times, so.
And with that like local thing, like if there's ever a company that's like very big national company, I sometimes will do like a quick like soft close, like, oh, like, do you know that company is like a big nationwide company? Like being very soft and like, oh no, it's like, yeah, it's totally okay. A lot of the neighbors have been switching from national companies to a local company, and then go into that, but like, you can ask it in a form of a question. To be like, you know, they're, you don't want to say, oh, well, they're like a national company, so they're, you know, they don't do as much. I used to do that.
One of my favorite closes, similar to what Mason said, and I might use it here or later. But asking the question, have you guys ever thought about switching to a local company before? And it plays this like heartstring thing where they're like, they like look at each other like, yeah, that kind of sucks. So we're with like big, we should support this kid. And it's just this like heartstring close. And especially, yeah, like it works. Like, have you guys ever thought about switching to more of a local company? And even if they're like hard on you right up until that point, they might be like, I don't know, tell me more. Like, and it just extends the conversation, allows you to share more tailored responses and yeah. So some of those closes can be really awesome, but that's why I love selling for point is that's our strategy is this region focused, these region focused companies, and it allows you to switch over people a lot.
Parker?
Yeah, not to be the drum even more, but there is a point where you will get on like the inspection with this person that has a company. And I wouldn't say like hesitate to like if they're not living up to something that they promise as a company, like it's not a bad thing to inherently say like, yeah, like we're just gonna do maybe a little bit better job paying you,
Yeah.
like making sure those things stay away and definitely be proud of our service, right? Like, don't be soft because they have another company, like definitely show them what we do and what makes us stand out, like be proud of it.
The emphasis more on what we can do, not what they're.
At the same time though, like I personally, if they're bagging on their company, like I ride that train. Might be a better person than me, but
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
But I think to Kayla's point, like I don't bash unless, but I'm saying if they're like outspokenly, like I honestly hate them, I might be like, yeah, that's pretty.
I do this a lot.
I'm not in the
competition. If you're in New Hampshire, it's like we're the Red Sox, they're the Yankees, like. If you're in Arkansas, you know, it's like we're or whatever, you like use the colleges in the area, people love that. They love that, so use sports analogies and stuff, but anyways, that's a higher level thing, but you can get people on, like without bashing, but using stuff like that. Or like a Ferrari versus a Honda. One more comment.
Yeah, kind of to Parker's point about being on inspection, maybe you can help you remember, you kind of taught me also last summer to like try to get into the backyard when they've already confessed that they're have another company coming out. I think it was something along the lines of like, yeah, let me just do a quick inspection. I can see where we can fill in the gaps.
Like
Something like that, like cleanup. I know that sometimes can be hard because you can go in the back and there's nothing. But like, what's like maybe like a good liner to like, because obviously once you get in the backyard, you have more time and can move them around a little bit versus them just shutting the door. It's like, what's like something that you can use to like get on an inspection, but that's not gonna like turn around and bite you if you don't see any webs or whatever, like what's like a good way to
Yeah, I think, this is, I'm gonna tie it back in, we can talk about that too, but. As you're learning how to do this, especially your first years, even veterans too, but especially the first years, this is what we really want you to have memorized before the summer. Because a lot of times you'll meet somebody and say you talk to 20 people in a day that have a company, like probably 5 to 10 of them are, or sometimes less, but like that range are gonna be like, don't like their company, or there's something that they're open to talking to you about. And usually that's price, basically. So that's, so you want to try to bait the how much and cite the response with the close of the how much. So my trucks are in the area working. If you want to give me a local guy a try and we can fit you in on a route, your home would be about half our normal price. And then like, you're gonna get a predictable response, how much, some form of objection, or like, what do you charge, or what do you guys do different? Like, how are you different than Aptiv? And then you can go into this. Or if they're like totally not eating it up and they're just like, because you'll get that, like their eyes are glazed over. This is a question, we don't have it on the slides, I should have put on here, I want you to write it down. If you ever feel like they're glazing over and they're not picking up what you're putting down, a great question what Parker said was, Have you ever thought of giving a local company a try?
Already right.
But this is another line. Would,
Better service,
would trying, yeah, say it, Kayla.
better service for a better value.
Would you be open to trying another service for a better value and better price?
Good, close, yeah.
And if like, well, I mean, if you do more and it's a better price, or,
I've seen Kayla switch people using that close, see it firsthand.
thank you, Kayla. So write that, say it one more time, Kayla. Say it nice and loud, so the people in, at home can hear us.
Would you be open to upgrading your service for a better value?
Would you be open to upgrading your service for a better value and potentially a better price? If you know, like, if you're talking to Green X or Fox or a company that charges a lot more. Cool. And then right after that, you're gonna roll into this question. Why did you start with them? What pests? And that's trying to draw out like why they like, you see where they're at. Like sometimes you'll get people like, yeah, we have ants, we still have them. That's what you're looking for. Or they're like, yeah, we have ants, they're gone, like we love it. And now you're like pivoting, like if someone loves it, are they so qualified your time to talk to them, right? Then ask assumptive questions like, do you see them more in the bathroom or the kitchen, like getting them emotional about it again? And then you're gonna minimize their service in a nice way by just asking some questions. So like, they're just spraying around the base. They come out and kind of knock the webs down and you're looking for like, no, they don't do that. Or there's some people like, yeah, they do all that, I love them, and like, so then you realize, okay, this person loves their company, it might be not worth my time. Or this person's like, yeah, they don't do that, like, I always have to bug them to do that, or they make me pay extra for mice or whatever, or that something comes up that they don't like. So, and then you maximize our service. So this is where you're basically doing an inspection on their doorstep at this point. So there is some body language there where you're gonna like sometimes pull them off the doorstep and say like, yeah, let me show you what we do around the base that's different. Like what separates us from the others is a really, really good line. And then you do the, like what we taught you last time or 2 times ago, do the inspection, 3 feet up, 3 feet out. We sweep all the webs and the eaves down and show them and point out some stuff they've missed if that is the case. Or if not, then you still tell them that. Then we thoroughly spot treat in and around the home, inside and out in the yard, and then end with the local, and then we customize it to their home and property. So the key here is keep the flow going. So at this point, you want to dive right into the price. Or getting to them to ask you how much. So the line is the best part's the price. You're paying about X per treatment. A lot of us will be like, the best part's the price. So how much are you paying? Like, you want to be a little more assumptive and like tell them the price, and you'll learn what certain companies are generally charging, and you can ask that. And then you do the half off again. Perfect. Since we're here working, if we can fit in, do about half of the price. They ask you how much, and then you go for an inspection. You take them around and do the inspection in the yard, and then it's basically back to like a normal sale. So, I guess not.
I think you should demo.
I will, yeah. So that's the flow of it. The key here is you want to just keep it going, and in the grand scheme of things, this is just another objection with an empathy, tailor response, and a close. And most of the time, you're going to get a how much right away, and then you go on an inspection and you do your thing. Sometimes though, they need a little bit more value and need on the doorstep before you take them in the yard, because they already have a company. So that's why we teach it this way. That you're going to do like a mini inspection on the doorstep. So any questions? I'll share these slides, or Theron, could you share these slides on?
Yeah.
Slack? We have people taking pictures so you guys can. What time do we got?
8:55.
Cool, perfect. Kyron. He'll be my customer. So there is on the YouTube channel, it's not the best quality, so we need to get some more, I have some switchovers, but there's a good one of active switchover from a couple years ago, so you can go on there and watch it, and you can hear it. I stick pretty close to this with that one,
Is
but
that a demo? Is that like a real switchover?
it's a real lady with a giant no soliciting sign.
Dude, let's.
So she didn't even point to or talk about it at all. So, cool. So you will be, whatever company you want to use, but
Be rumble.
Grumble Fest.
Hello? Hey, real quick, we were doing work for Kayla right here. Has anyone let you know that you'd be coming by today? No. Cool. So my trucks are here working and we have a couple openings on our route. Who do you guys have coming out for your pest services?
We have, Aptiva Environmental.
Yeah, you'd be crazy if you didn't have someone out here. How long have they been coming out for you?
Since we moved in, it's been like 3 years.
Oh, cool. Where'd you move from?
We moved from Utah.
Cool.
It's really similar. They just came to our door and we hired them.
Yep. Yeah, just so you know, we've had a lot of families upgrading to our service. Because we are local, Aptiva is out of Utah. And we're a local family owned business here, so. We just do a lot more for the dollar, that's why we have some people jumping on, so we can get more for your value, or for your dollar. So, while we're out working, I have a few spots. If you wanted to give a local company a try out, it'd be about half our price while we're here.
Okay, how much do you guys charge?
Yeah, good question. That's.
That's what you want.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Let's say you don't ask that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
let's just say, you're like, I mean. What do you guys do different? Or whatever,
Yeah,
let's go that way.
okay. Yeah, what do you
So
guys?
that's ideal, so if you guys can get that really dialed, you're gonna get how much is right there and you go on an inspection, so. Yeah, great question, before I tell you what we do, like, why did you call them out originally, or did someone stop by?
Yeah, they just stopped by our door, similar to you
Okay,
guys.
and why'd you start, was it ants, spiders? Wasps?
There wasn't like a bunch. I think that it's kind of similar. They just had like I think the neighborhood was doing it, and so.
Okay, let me show you. Hold that. In this area, the rodents this winter have been pretty active, and a lot of these other companies are charging more for rodents, so a few things we do different, let me just show you. Especially around garages, we'll do some rodent treatments in the garage. What that will mean to you is that you won't get mice burrowing in the walls and coming in the house. But the main people I've had upgrade from Aptiv and other like Utah companies is up in the eaves. We actually don't only sweep down the wasp nests and the webs, so like. You can see here this web buildup, with how cold it got this year, they're starting to come out now and catch their food, and so we put a product up there that keeps them off, keeps it nice and clean. So, yeah, it's like. Where do we live right now? No, okay, it's like, Oklahoma, the Sooners compared to the Cowboys, it's a lot. Okay, good, yes, well, good help. So, the one thing we do different too is we'll actually step out in the yard and spot, create certain spots. I know they say they go all the way front for back, but we actually find and nets and tights. And make sure they're not coming up those houses like fire ants, so. The best part is, we'll customize it because we're local. The owner lives actually just over in Rogers, Arkansas, and we have a regional pet service here in the area. The last few years, so.
Okay.
The best part's the price. With Aptiva, you're paying, like. 150 a quarter, 100 a quarter, what are you paying at?
We just pay yearly, it's like $1,000 or something.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so if we could fit you in, if you try this out, it would be about half our normal price. And they do it on it.
Okay. Yeah, how much do you guys charge?
Yeah, good question. What's your square footage?
It's like 5,500 square feet.
Okay, so what I did for the other families that upgraded, I just do a quick inspection on the outside. And then I can see where we plan to clean up and give you a firm quote.
Okay.
So you already got your shoes on, you want to come with me?
Yeah.
Is there a gate open over here?
Yeah. So we have a dog bag.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Alrighty. So feel free to break out and practice. And start learning about the competition in your area. Managers, if you need help with that, get with Parker, right? And it's the more information, the better. But even if you don't know anybody going into an area, like I've gone into cities and didn't know any of the competition, you'll learn it. And as long as you're sold on yourself, the company and the product, you will succeed and switch people over every day. So, yeah, thanks for being here. And you guys can break up into groups and practice or bounce out, but we know it's a busy time of semester. So thank you for your sacrifice for here.
Thank you, man.